Okay, we're gonna make a fire pit today. Pretty simple. This is gonna be the bottom, and it's 9.5 by 9.5. These are going to be the sides. There's 4 of them, and of course it's 9.5 at the bottom, and at the top it's 20, and they're 12 3/4 tall. So then we're gonna have a lid, which is 21 by 21. We're gonna have a handle on it. So, the way I'm gonna make this is there's no vents, there's no holes in it. And you know, you could put this on a, like where I'm gonna use it's on pavers, and I don't want any stuff leaking out of it when it rains, or I don't want anything hot falling out of it. So we're gonna put a grate in it and put a handle on the lid, and then these little tabs are going to keep the lid on top of it. So let's get to it. Today we're going to be using the Millermatic 185, which is my personal machine. It's got a 60% duty cycle. It runs off 220. It's single phase. It runs 023 wire, I believe it is, and it's an adequate machine. I've had it for probably 15 years, if not more, and I've never really had an issue with it. The only complaint I have is that the rollers are plastic, you know, but it's pretty decent. It'll weld up. I can do up to like 1/2 inch on this single pass, so this is what we're using. What I forgot to mention was we're making this out of 7 gauge, which is about 3/16. The bottom is 1/4 inch, but I mean a 7 gauge bottom would be fine on this. And you know, when I'm done, I'm going to paint it with barbecue, you know, the high temp paint that's used for barbecue grills. And honestly, this thing will outlive me. So we got the first 2 sides tacked up. This is the hardest part because you kind of almost need like 3 hands. Let me stand on it. You kind of use your other hand up here. You can get them all where you need them to be. It ain't got to be perfectly tight with gaps because you can fill those. But I'm gonna try and tape this GoPro inside my welding shield and see how that looks. I'll fill this gap down here. You kind of got to hit every edge and get it to flow together. Might have to grind it a little on the outside when we get it done, but we can fill it. Your wire's charged as it's coming out. You got your gas running through there to keep the porosity out. Faster than some other types of welding. Here we go, we got more than half of it done. And yeah, these things are easy. And they're nice because when you get them going, you know, with the metal gets heated up, it kind of radiates heat. So if you're sitting on a patio within like, I'd say 6 foot of this, you're going to get pretty decent heat off of it. And I'll show you the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to use flat bar on the bottom, and it's going to elevate the whole thing off of the floor so that air can flow underneath, so that, you know, you have to be careful if you burn something like this on concrete. Concrete will explode if it gets too hot because there is always moisture in the concrete. So by elevating it up and letting the airflow go under it, you keep the temperatures underneath of it a little bit lower, so you less chance of that happening. The whole inside welded up. And this grate is 13 by 13 and will sit in there, keep the wood elevated. Now this is like my 3rd one I'm building of these, so on an average night I might light this for, I don't know, 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours at a time. I've burned 3 nights so far, probably a total of 10 to 12 hours, and it still doesn't need to be emptied yet. It's still not full in the bottom. So you know, you will have to flip it over or shovel it out eventually. But without any holes in it, it's less mess. These aren't so heavy that you can't pick them up and carry them somewhere and dump them out, you know, if you got decent arms. Okay, so these are what it's going to sit on. Also 7 gauge. These are 4 by 18, and you just want to set them up here on the end, get them even, make it on the edge, and then we're going to weld it on there. Okay, so we got about, that's about 3 7/8. I'm doing this one-handed. I already measured it. About 3 7/8 both sides. You can see we got it right on the edge there, and the mag's holding it up. Now I realize, you know, this is not something everybody's going to be able to do in their garage. Most people don't have a welding machine, but you know, if you wanted to go to your local steel shop and get all the parts made for you, you know, and then have somebody weld it up, honestly, to weld one of these up, it doesn't take much more than half an hour. Okay, so we got it flipped over, and those two were tacked on. You know, I did 2 stitches on the inside, 2 stitches on the outside. They're nice and squared, and we're just going to lay this up here and tack it on and weld it. So that's it. Pretty simple, and as you can see, the air can flow under there. So these do get hot, but they don't get so hot that they're going to explode your base if you're on concrete. So, and you see the lid has angles on it, so it won't slide off. It's a little bit bigger, so it keeps the rain out. And that's it. That's the whole thing right there. My little setup, and everybody sitting within this radius can feel the heat coming off of that when it's kicking. And as you can see, like I said, I've burnt that probably, there's 12 hours of burn in there, and it still doesn't need to be emptied yet, and it's ready to go again. And the nice thing is, when you're ready to leave, you put the lid on it. Even if it's still burning, it snuffs it out and it dries out your wood and saves it for the next burn. So you don't have to worry about, you know, putting water on it or making sure your fire's out before, you know, you go inside.